What's up, Dobsters, Dobinites, Docahedrons? Here to talk about, week two, what I think these certain players are going to do. Wink. Anyway, week one, I was 23 for 51 out of my projections. My top five went 1 for 5. My spider went 2 for 8, and my crazy one went 2 for 7. Nothing was won last week. Sad face. But in DK, I did do 4 entries. One of them won. I didn't put that one in here. I usually do about 3 or 4 entries, and I'll do 2 each week. I'll let you know what I do. But I had Baker Mayfield, Jameer Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Jason Evans, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, Brock Bowers, Theo Johnson, and Titans defense. I came out to 137.28 points, and I came out of 42,696 out of 832,211 people. The winner actually had Justin Fields. Of course, they're going to win. Why would you start Justin Fields first week? But that's how it goes in DK and in general. Justin Field, Bijan Robinson, Devon Achane, Puka Nakua, Ricky Pearsall, Emeka Egbuka, Jawan Johnson, JSN, and Broncos defense, and they had a total of 193.92 points. That's typically low for DK. Usually the winner for DK has around 220 something. But last week, not too many stars went off, so I didn't expect it to be too high anyway. So I guess that's fairly normal for when stars don't go off. Is around like the 200 range. That's probably the lowest I've seen anybody score and win the main prize, but it is what it is. All right, so for this week, my projections, wink, is Stephon Diggs going over 41 receiving yards, Trevion Henderson going over 20 reception yards, Hunter Henry going over 35 reception yards, Kashawn Booty going over 38 reception yards, Jalen Waddle going over 49 reception yards. Jaguars Bengals, I got Brian Thomas Jr. going over 70 plus receiving yards, Brenton Strange going over 33 receiving yards, Travis Hunter going over 50 receiving yards, Travis Etienne going over 55 rushing yards, Michelle Tutin going over 18 rushing yards, Jamar Chase going over 88 receiving yards, Chase Brown going over 71 rushing yards. The Bears-Lions, I got DJ Moore going over 51 receiving yards, Almade Zacchaeus going over 23 receiving yards, Jameer Gibbs going over 25 receiving yards, and also having 68 plus rushing yards. He's absolutely going to dominate the Bears. The Bills to Jets, I have James Cook going over 59 rushing yards, Khalil Shakir I have going over 58 receiving yards, 48 receiving yards, my apologies. Dalton Kincaid I have going over 30 receiving yards. Joshua Palmer I have going over 34 receiving yards. Breece Hall I got going over 20 plus receiving yards and 56 rushing yards. Garrett Wilson I have going over 61 receiving yards. For the Browns and Ravens, I was very unsure what to put. Plus, they kind of put like a good cap on the receiving yards and rushing yards for most of these players. Harold Fannin I have going over 36 plus receiving yards, and Derrick Henry probably have another 100-yard game. Seahawks and Steelers, I have JSN going over 68 plus receiving yards. Cooper Kupp I have going over 32 plus receiving yards. I know, same thing as last week, and Cooper Kupp kind of failed, but the Steelers obviously doesn't have a defense because they gave up a lot of points to the Jets last week. On the Steelers side, I have Calvin Austin going over 39 plus receiving yards, DK Metcalf in a revenge game going over 66 plus receiving yards, Jonnu Smith going over 30 plus receiving yards, and Jalen Warren going over 15 plus receiving yards. For the 49ers and Saints, I got McCaffrey going over 84 rushing yards, Ricky Pearsall going over 54 receiving yards, and Jawan Jennings going over 41 receiving yards. On the other side, Brandon Cooks got over 18 receiving yards, and I have Alvin Kamara going over 23 receiving yards. For the Rams-Titans game, I had Puka Nakua going over 83 yards receiving, Kyron Williams going over 73 rushing yards, Devontae Adams going over 62 receiving yards, Chig Akunaku, Still don't know how to say it. One day I'll learn. I got him going over 32 reception yards and Tyler Lockett over 20 reception yards. Still waiting on that Tyler Lockett. He was on the field for 53 plays last week, and he didn't catch one pass, which actually kind of surprised me. He usually does good against the Rams when he is on the Seahawks, so hopefully he bounces back. Giants and Cowboys. This is another game that I was very unsure about. They set the caps pretty good, and then I just not too sure what's going to happen. I have Malik Neighbors going over 81 receiving yards, and Miles Sanders, if they give him the ball, going over 17 plus rushing yards. He was on the field enough last week to where I feel like if they give him, like 5 rushes, he'll get the 17 plus rushing yards. Broncos and Colts. I got Cortland Sutton going over 66 receiving yards, J.K. Dobbins going over 47 rushing yards, Evan Ingram going over 29 reception yards. I know I had Evan Ingram last week, and he got injured, and then now he's not injured, and I don't know what happened. Maybe he was just faking it, or Bo Nix had an off game, but he should be able to get it against the Colts. Josh Downs or Michael Pittman. Wasn't sure which one to pick because I'm still not sure who Daniel Jones likes more. I assume he likes Michael Pittman more, but Josh Downs always seems to show up. So Josh Downs over 39 receiving yards or Michael Pittman over 44 reception yards. Jonathan Taylor over 12 plus reception yards. And then the Panthers Cardinals, I have Chuba Hubbard going over 12 plus reception yards, Jatavion Sanders going over 22 receiving yards, and Rico Dowdy going over 18 rush yards. Same thing with the Cowboys. I think the Panthers the Panthers will have Rico Dowdy on the field as much as like on Miles Sanders, and I think he can get the 18 rushing yards. Compared to those snap shares that he had last week. I have James Conner going over 68 rushing yards, Kyler Murray going over 24 rushing yards, Trey McBride going over 62 receiving yards, and Trey Benson going over 35 rushing yards. Eagles and Chiefs, final game of before the night game. I got A.J. Brown going over 68 receiving yards, Saquon Barkley going over 14 receiving yards. On the other side, I got Juju going 35 or plus reception yards. He seems to be the target when a receiver gets injured, or 2 receivers, one's, suspended. And that's kind of happened last year, so I could see Juju going over 35 receiving yards. Isaiah Pacheco going over 35 rushing yards, and then Travis Kelce going over 48 receiving yards. The Isaiah Pacheco one, if you believe he's going to get the ball, I think he'll get the 35 rush, but it all depends. I don't really know what they do if they're running backs. It seems they like Kareem Hunt, even though Pacheco runs harder, whatever. Hopefully he gets the ball more. So my top 5 this week is DJ Moore going over 51 reception yards, Jahmyr Gibbs going over 68 rushing yards, James Cook going over 59 rushing yards, Khalil Shakir going over 48 receiving yards, and Calvin Austin going over 39 receiving yards. I took the opposite of DK Metcalf revenge game, kind of put Calvin Austin in there. I feel like Rodgers is going to find him a lot more this year. He actually might be one of those sleepers that you want to get. That's a total score of 2017. My spider will consist of Brandon Cooks going for 25 receiving yards, Chuba Hubbard going for 12 plus receiving yards, Jahmyr Gibbs going for 80 plus rushing yards, James Cook going for 65 plus rushing yards, Travion Henderson going for 25 plus receiving yards, Khalil Shakir going over for 50 plus receiving yards, Calvin Austin going over for 39 plus receiving yards, and JSN going over for 80 plus receiving yards, with a total score of 46,205. And then my crazy one, I got Stephon Diggs going over 50 plus receiving yards, Jahmyr Gibbs going over 80 plus rushing yards, James Cook going over 65 plus rushing yards, JSN going over 80 plus receiving yards, Evan Ingram going over 40 plus reception yards, Chase Brown going over 80 plus rushing yards, Brandon Cooks going for 25 plus receiving yards, and Kyron Williams going for 80 plus rushing yards, with a total score of 107,903. And then for DK, my starting lineup, I have Mac Jones. That's right, Mac Jones. Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, Khalil Shakir, Ricky Pearsall, Travis Hunter, Trey McBride, Chase Brown, and Rams defense. And another one I put Drake May, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kyron Williams, Brian Thomas Jr., JSN, Stephon Diggs, Jonnu Smith, James Cook, and Rams defense. Thanks for listening. Let me know if y'all have any recommendations or anything else you all want us to talk about. Tune in on Tuesday for our weekly recap and all that good stuff with the share split. I had really important information last week that I feel like would help fantasy owners, debate who's going to start and whatnot. Those snap shares are very important. I mentioned it with Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, and then also Rico Dowdy and Chuba Hubbard. And then the biggest one was the Pittsburgh one with the running back committee that they ran. Also, their tight ends getting basically everyone's getting a share in that field. Didn't expect that. So yeah, let me know what you all think. Peace out.